Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, Episode 5 Thoughts video. Just finished watching the latest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm just going to be sharing my general thoughts on the episode. In this episode, the team's in the 70s and they have to stop a Hydra plan that's 40 years ahead of plan. Or ahead of schedule, I should say. This episode, the team ends up in the 70s where they discover that some things have changed and that they eventually put together that was because the Chromicons actually stayed back in the 50s and helped Malik to, put his plans with Hydra into place a lot sooner, 40 years sooner. So we hop into the 70s, and this one was kind of fun. Seeing them kind of discovering this, trying to discover what the plan is. At first, assuming everything is going to plan. Malik's supposed to have died, and then a few other things, and then they slowly discover, like, oh no, he's still alive. Oh, a lot more going on in Hydra than we think. They've got a new big project, or I should say a new big project at S.H.I.E.L.D. going on, headed by Hydra, which is Project Insight. For those of you who don't know, that's from Captain America, the Winter Soldier. That was Hydra's plan to take over, use the helicarriers to wipe out a big chunk of the planet, pretty much all the people who would, put up a fight against Hydra. And so we see that, Hydra is now putting this plan into place in the 70s via S.H.I.E.L.D. And so the team has to try and stop them, but, the Chromicons finally, smarten up a little bit and decide to jump ahead, which causes the team to have to jump ahead further to in the 70s where the plans are, where Project Insight's a little more already put together. The lighthouse is just a base for a rocket to go off, and so it just was a fun episode. I enjoyed this. I like the tie to Project Insight, into tying that into the MCU, and the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. did cover a chunk of that too in the second season, end of the second season, I believe, is when they tied into that Captain America storyline. So it was a fun little tie, especially since it's it's one of those things where you're like, that was probably the last time they did a real full-on connection with the MCU. Beyond Infinity War, I guess they did a little bit of a tie-in, just a very, very brief, just a very little brief one. But other than that, those are the main ties. So I did enjoy that they kind of brought this back. They brought it back as the plan that Malik was always going to put into place, so it makes sense that he would just do it earlier if he was just getting help. There's no reason to, suggest that he would change his plan from Project Insight, or the Hydra would. They don't have, the knowledge. They have the knowledge that their plan maybe didn't work from the Chromicons, but they don't know exactly why. So, I just enjoyed this, the fun connections between it, seeing Agent's also kind of adjusting to the 70s and thinking that's the future, which it is for him. It's 15 years into the future, 20 years into the future for him. But then seeing, Daisy trying to show him stuff from our modern day, things like a phone and stuff like that. So it's just a kind of fun little episode, fish out of water, or a trout in the milk, as it's called, as this episode was called. So a few other fun little interesting things that happened. We see Simmons has something going on with her neck. She's forgetting stuff, and I'm just like, and then and she's really wanting Enoch to come back, and Enoch shows up, and she's like, "What's wrong with me? Let's go." And then he's like, "Come with me," and I'm like, "What's going on there?" Obviously, that's something to do with this whole her and Fitz situation, but what? I'm not sure, but I am curious to find out more about that. What else did I have written down? Oh, we had a fun little name mentioned in it. During one of the names on the list for Project Insight that we heard mentioned was Bruce Banner, so another fun connection to the MCU. What else did I have written down? And everyone just gets captured at the end, and but that's the other thing. The one kid, Malik's other kid that had died, Nathaniel, I think his name was, actually survived, and Daisy used him as a hostage, and so he gets some revenge by, knocking them out, and I guess now his plan is to try to take her powers in the next episode, so that's an extra complication they've added in for next episode, but I'm still curious to find out how she gets out of it. What if somebody else ends up with her powers? We'll see. But I'm curious to see where the rest of the season goes from here. But what did you guys think about this latest episode? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for joining me today. Sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Have a good one.